My father had exactly one rule in our house. We never, under any circumstances, acknowledged my mother. I broke that rule 3 days ago, and now I understand exactly why it existed. She lived in our house my entire life. Solid, real, as present as the dining table we ate at every night. But to my father, and by extension to me, she was a ghost we'd silently agreed never to see. Every morning she'd be at the stove when I came down for breakfast, a floral apron around her waist, turning to give me a sad smile that never quite reached her eyes. "Good morning, sweetheart," she'd say. And every morning I'd look straight through her, pour my own cereal, sit down across from my father, hidden behind his newspaper. She'd sigh quietly and set a third plate on the table anyway, eggs, pancakes, always perfect, always destined to go cold, untouched. She'd try sometimes, small talk about the weather. My father would just turn a page. I'd take a loud bite of cereal to drown her voice out. Eventually she'd fall silent, that same deep sadness settling back over her face. Dinner followed the same script. She'd cook a full meal, set 3 places, serve us both, ask about our days. My father would grunt. I'd mumble something and keep eating. It was a performance we ran every single day of my life in a house with 3 people, raised in a world that only acknowledged 2. As a kid, I just accepted it. Kids accept whatever reality they're handed. But as I got older, that acceptance curdled into guilt. I started really looking at her. The fine lines of sorrow around her eyes. The way her hand would brush the back of my father's chair as she passed, reaching for a contact that never came. My view of my father shifted too. The stoic protector I'd grown up with started looking like a tyrant, and I began to resent him deeply for whatever cruelty this was, wondering what she could have possibly done to deserve it. Last Tuesday, everything changed. It was gray and raining. She stood by the living room window, humming a soft, sad lullaby, her shoulders shaking almost imperceptibly. She was crying silently, alone in the room with me and completely unseen. Something in me broke. I waited until I heard my father's car leave for his usual Tuesday hardware store run, and I found her in the kitchen washing dishes, her back to me. "Mom." The word felt foreign in my mouth. She went completely still. Then she slowly turned around, and her face was pure disbelief, tears already welling. You can see me," she whispered. "Oh, my sweet boy, you can finally see me." I told her I'd always seen her every single day. Her face fell into confusion. "But you never looked at me, you never spoke." I told her it was Dad's rule, that I was just a kid, scared and didn't know what else to do, that it was wrong, all of it. She reached out and took my hand. Her skin was cold, strangely cold, like marble left in a cellar, but her grip felt completely real. "This can be our secret," she said, "just between us." I nodded, relief flooding through me like I'd been holding my breath my whole life. We talked until we heard my father's car in the driveway, and she squeezed my hand one last time before turning back to the sink like nothing had happened. For the next few days, we kept talking in secret whenever he was out. She told me about her favorite books, the places she'd dreamed of traveling. She felt like a whole person, someone my father had tried to erase, and every conversation felt like helping her climb back out of whatever grave he'd put her in. My anger at him grew every single day. I started thinking about confronting him, about just taking her and leaving. Then yesterday morning, the house was silent. No coffee, no radio. I searched every room, empty. His car was gone from the garage. Her side of the closet still hung untouched, exactly like his. I called his cell a dozen times, straight to voicemail. His office said he'd never shown up, something he'd never done before in his life. And she had no phone, no friends I knew of. Her entire world had always been contained inside our house. By evening, I was frantic, and my search led me back to their bedroom, digging through drawers and closets for any clue at all. That's when I found it. Tucked behind a row of shoes in my father's closet, a small wooden chest, unlocked, full of identical black leather journals. I pulled the oldest one out. The first entry was dated over 15 years ago. October 12th. It's been a year since the accident. My son asks for Mama, and I don't know how to explain she's never coming back. The police called it a freak accident, a downed power line during a storm. It doesn't feel like an accident. It feels like a theft. My blood went cold. I read it again. She died 15 years ago, but I just held her hand. I kept reading. May 3rd, 2 years later. He pointed to the kitchen and said Mama was making cookies. The kitchen was empty. He described the exact yellow dress she was buried in. His imagination, that's all it is. May 28th. He talks to her every day now. I've started seeing glimpses in the corner of my eye. This morning I heard a lullaby coming from his room. Her lullaby. I almost threw up. June 15th. I confronted it today. I said her name to the empty air my son was talking to, and the room went cold, the pressure building in my ears. For 1 second I saw it clearly. It looked like her. It sounded like her. But its eyes were black pits, ancient and wrong. This is not my wife. My wife is gone. This is a parasite wearing her memory. My hands were shaking so badly, I could barely turn the pages. July 1st. I've tried priests, mediums, investigators. One told me it's a mimic drawn to grief, to my son's energy, and it will never leave willingly. He said the worst thing we could do was feed it acknowledgement. Attention is sustenance. Recognition is power, so I made a plan, a terrible plan. We will not look at it. We will not speak to it. We will starve it out. May God forgive me for what I'm about to do to my own child. The journal fell out of my hands. Every silent dinner, every sharp glance from my father across the years, rearranged itself into an entirely different picture. I found the most recent journal and flipped straight to last week's entry. Tuesday, he spoke to it tonight. I knew it was coming. The air in the house is thicker now, charged. It looked stronger when I got home, more solid. The sadness in its eyes replaced by something else. Triumph. The old man who called it a mimic told me there's a final option if it ever gets a true foothold, a ritual to bind it, but it requires a sacrifice. An anchor for an anchor. He said it would probably kill me. But what life have I been living anyway, hated by my own son, a jailer in my own home? If this is the price to set him free, I will pay it. I love you, my son. I hope one day you'll understand. That was the final entry. His car being gone, his disappearance. He'd gone to perform the ritual, to trade himself for me. I thought about her cold hand in mine, her words, "You can finally see me," like my attention was something to be earned. Her triumphant eyes across every dinner since I'd broken the rule. Then I heard it, soft humming, drifting up from the bottom of the stairs, that same lullaby from the window. A floorboard creaked, then another. I threw myself off the bed and locked my bedroom door, backing against the far wall, my heart slamming against my ribs. The window was 2 stories up. There was nowhere to go. Her footsteps climbed the stairs, heavier now, deliberate, full of weight that hadn't been there before. I had made her stronger. The humming stopped right outside my door. "Sweetheart, are you in there?" I was so worried. Her voice, but coated in something sickly sweet that made my skin crawl. "I talked to your father, he called. He's so sorry, honey, for everything. He said he was wrong to keep us apart. He just needs a few days to clear his head, but he gave us his blessing. Just you and me. Isn't that wonderful?" "Liar, he's gone, you know he's gone." "I know you're in there, I can feel you," she cooed. "Come on, open the door, I'll make you pancakes just like I used to." She never made me pancakes, not once in my entire life. "Please, son, don't shut me out again. Not after you finally let me in. We'll be a proper family." Then the doorknob started to turn, slowly at first, then harder, the wood around the lock groaning under the pressure. I fumbled my phone out of my pocket, hands slick with sweat, and dialed. What could I even say? A woman who looks like my dead mother is trying to break into my room, and my father's journal says she's actually some kind of parasite that feeds on being acknowledged. They'd send a straitjacket, not backup. The rattling suddenly stopped. Silence, total, suffocating silence. Then a new sound began, a slow, deliberate scratching against the wood of the door. Long, patient scrapes dragging down the grain over and over. I hit the call button anyway. 911, what's your emergency? I cupped the phone and whispered as quietly as I could that there was an intruder in my house, that I was locked upstairs. "Can you describe them, sir?" "I can't," I breathed. "I haven't seen them, I just hear them. They're right outside my door." A pause. "A unit is on its way. Can you stay on the line?" "No," I whispered. "I can't make any noise." I hung up. The scratching stopped the instant the call ended, like it had heard me, like it knew. I'm writing this down right now, as fast as I can, waiting for the police to arrive. I don't know what they'll find when they get here. I don't know if it'll even still be here, or if they'll just find my father's journals and a version of me that looks like I've lost my mind. I just need someone, anyone, to know what actually happened here. In case something happens to me before they arrive.